and welcome to this week's episode of The Hub. I'm your host, Sarah DeZio, and today we'll be discussing WMUA 91.1 FM, the radio voice of UMass. The station is run almost entirely by students and is a wealth of music, sports coverage, and news for the Pioneer Valley community. Recently, however, WMUA has been a part of the news itself with the adoption of new programming hours and a more student-oriented approach. Here with us today to give her insight is WMUA News Operations Director Sarah McCullough. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
Well, can you start off by giving me some background information on the history of WMUA?
Yeah, sure, of course. So WMUA was founded by a group of veterans that had established a station in, I believe it's Fort Devens in Denver. And when they left, obviously, because the war ended, they came to UMass on the GI Bill, and they started the radio station, which is cool because now it's grown into this thing that isn't just between like a certain group of people. It's like anyone from any walk of life. But it's definitely a cool beginning to how it started.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I feel like that's quite unusual for a college station. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like it was like, I don't know how popular radio stations were at colleges before then, but it'd be interesting to like look into. But I definitely appreciate that a bunch of veterans came in and started the station
that is
now.
Cool.
So it is cool.
Well, how did you get involved in the station? Like, how did you hear about it? Sort of like have your interest like piqued?
Yeah. I went to like the activities expo my freshman year, like as most freshmen do. I'm a junior now, so I've been involved with the radio station ever since. I went there, then I went to the new persons meeting, and from there the general manager at the time asked me if I'd be interested in doing news, and I said sure. And it was relatively small then. It just had gotten like picked back up from like kind of
that's
like
really
going off for a couple
years.
years. Yeah. So he kind of revitalized it in his time as news editor, but it was really cool, and it was like a great group of people, so that's why I stayed, and that's why I'm still here. Yeah.
And so now your position is News Operations Director, and can you just tell me a little bit about what that involves?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the News Operations Director is, my job primarily is to train new people to either board op or just like teach them how to write copy on the script, because like obviously like we can't afford to get like a wire service or anything like that, so a lot of our writing is primarily from like other sources that we like give props
like
to
rework.
Yeah, exactly it's like writing copy, so just training them doing that, doing board opping, helping them with like recording stories or like editing features, things like that, making sure the script is good for that day, because we do have to have like 30 minutes of like stories to fill up time, so it can get a little stressful, like wrangling everyone, especially since everybody has like a busy life, but it's like really fun and I enjoy it a lot. So
that seems great. It seems like there are a lot of really dedicated students that are there like now with the news team. Working together.
Yeah, we've had like so much more interest than we've had in the past, and people are like really getting into like the more like investigative journalism slash like doing like packages or stories, kind of in the style of how like NPR does stories, where they like will like just have a story and then like play it and then they'll go back to like the people talking on air at that time. Cool. It's really cool, and I'm really happy, and I'm really impressed with the work that they've been doing so far.
But in addition to the students like becoming more involved, do you want to speak a little bit on the issues that are happening sort of between the students and the community? Because of like, I feel like a lot of it was spurned because more and more students were like flocking to the station.
Yeah, we've actually had this year, I think, this like school year, we've had the most applicants for DJ training that we've had in like the last 5 years, and that, along with like some other things, has caused community programming to kind of like decrease, and by that I mean like members of the station that are not students at the university, which is like ruffled some feathers, which is like it's a shame that people feel like they're being pushed out, but that wasn't like our intention or the university's intention at all, because they were the ones that like mandated this program change.
Okay, so what is the programming change, just to like lay it out?
Oh yeah, of course, sorry. It's that community programming is only 24 hours a week now, so that means that only 24 hours of our weekly broadcast time can be dedicated to DJs who are not students of the university or the 5-college system, I believe.
Okay.
So obviously like some shows have had to be cut, but it's honestly streamlined us, I think.
And that seems like the process of radio too.
Yeah,
like you just
yeah.
have, like there's a new cycle of people coming through.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it keeps things fresh. Yeah, and it's just like it's been a way for us to like revitalize the station. We've had the most shows on the schedule that we've had in like 5 years also. Like we barely have any automated programming at all,
which is just when there's
like track pools, because there are some slots of times where it's hard to get people, like 2 to 4 in the morning. It's a hard slot to fill. So but our programmer has done an amazing job reworking everything, and I think that it's an amazing schedule, and I think that all of the changes have been really positive and will just make students want to like participate in radio even more, which is the end goal, like why we're here at the university, is to be a resource for the students to learn and to like express themselves either through music or talk or sports. So
on the one hand you have these students that are like super invested and involved in this, and then you also have like some community people who are against the changes that are happening in the station. Do you want to talk a little bit about it's being called Polkagate?
Yeah. Okay, so Polkagate has started because it was usually like Saturday to Sunday. We had a large chunk of time that was dedicated to polka music programming. It was 12 hours, in fact.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot of polka, but it's like, so if we had kept the 24-hour like thing, which which we're like doing now, and we'd kept the original like polka time, that would have taken up half of the time allotted to community members. And I think everyone just thought that wouldn't be fair. So
to have like half of the community programming time just be for one genre.
Yeah, just be for one genre of music. Just because it's been there for like 30 years. And that doesn't mean that WMUA doesn't like polka. That doesn't mean we don't appreciate the people of Pioneer Valley or the Polish, or like we do appreciate them so much for all that they've done for the station. But it's just that like things change, and like we have to either adapt or die. So so it's like it's 4 hours is still a lot, and you can still listen, and Free Valley Radio is like a resource where like the other polka DJs can go.
I know that some of the DJs from the station were actually sort of heading over there.
Some of the DJs have started going to Valley Free Radio, which is like another place that community members like can go, and it is a community station like primarily. So it's just like there are other resources in other places that you can find this type of music, and I do feel bad that people do feel like they're being kind of like pushed aside, but that's not the intention I think the university had at all, and that's not what we feel at all at WMUA. We just want everybody to have equal time, and it be as fair as we can make it under the circumstances.
Yeah, because the reaction was like so intense.
Yeah, it was really intense. I understand where they're coming from, but some of the stuff was just a little bit too. It was like a little much, like the whole Polka Lives Matter thing.
That was
Yeah,
I had trouble with that.
It felt very like, I don't know.
Felt like they're fighting for the wrong thing, kind of.
Yeah. And it was just the way that they said it seemed kind of disrespectful to other movements that have maybe more like dire circumstances. But I'm not like bashing anyone, because I know like you feel how you feel, but just. It's been a lot for people to handle, and I know it's gonna be like scary for people for a while because things have changed. But like maybe now, instead of that like original polka like show that was there before, like there's gonna be a really cool like Chinese pop show, which we have, or like a musical like appreciation show that wasn't there, that's now there, and they can get into like different types of music as well. So I think it's all just about like adapting and changing, and accepting that nothing is going to stay the same forever.
So do you think this was a long time coming, just in terms of like because it seems like it culminated all in this year, sort of like?
Yeah, I think it was that the university actually started noticing that we were having a lot of difficulty with the community members, just because I don't think we were like as well equipped to deal with them as like students as the administration would have been. So they finally stepped in, and they were like, okay, like we need to figure out a way to do this, because students shouldn't have to be dealing with these like angry people coming in and being like, what are you doing with our station, when we're just trying to like do what we think is best for the students. So,
and it is student run.
yes, it is student run. It is 100% student run. I have a paid position. Like, I was hired. I work for the University of Massachusetts. Like, so we all take our jobs very seriously. And the university brought in a review board that gave us suggestions. They heard our side and the community side of what frustrations we've been having and like issues that we needed to work with. They were all experts. They're all like very, very experienced in the field of radio and in the field of college radio.
I was going to ask that, yeah.
Yeah, so they gave us their recommendations, and the university looked at them and they decided to go with what they recommended, which was 24 hours of community programming. So it was basically all just kind of like, we didn't really have that much to do with it other than giving our opinions. It was completely a university mandated thing, which took a lot of the pressure off of us and made it a lot easier for us to like move forward, because we didn't really want to like step on anyone's toes or make anybody feel like we didn't want them at the station.
Because I think that seems like it's the problem, is that it's like you're just trying to make room for new people and not necessarily push people out.
No,
I guess.
exactly. Like, we never want anybody to feel like we're throwing them away. That was never the intention. We like want people to come in and be able to play their diverse music and like bring joy to the people of the Valley's like lives. But sometimes you just have to like make sacrifices in order to like continue on as like an organization. And I think that now, like, it's going to be even better because we have all of these young people interested in radio, which will help foster, like, a better station in general, because, you know, they're going to be here for a long time. And if we establish a really good student base, then we're always going to have students coming in and helping us, and we won't have to rely on the people that have been there for, like, 30-odd years, like, trying to pick up all that slack, which I don't think is really fair to them either.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to put on them. So you said that the university got involved. I know the chancellor was also a part of this. How did it sort of like snake as far up the administrative ladder as it did?
Yeah, I think it was that I actually think when he first got involved was station and community members had been emailing him like a bunch, like a lot of emails. And Enku, who's like the dean of the vice chancellor, was also like in contact with us about like things that were happening, because they were getting complaints. And I think finally the chancellor decided to meet with like the contingent of the community members that wanted to talk to him about their issues, and he met with them. And I think that's when he first started to realize that we were like having some internal issues that needed to be looked at, that like we couldn't handle ourselves, which he did and the administration did, which ended up being helpful.
Right, because it seems like UVC, for example, has agreements within the administration. Is this sort of the first time that the administration has really stepped in at all in the like WMUA? Because it sort of seems like they didn't really even know it was happening until...
Yeah, I feel like, we were trying to handle it like as best we could internally, and then like obviously like it wasn't like, because like we handled it, we got like the right people in the administration involved that aren't necessarily as high up as the chancellor, because he's basically like as high as you can go. But we were trying to deal with it that way, and I guess it was just like not working. We really needed like outside help of a higher and more like authoritative degree. And when that kind of became known to everybody else in the administration, I think was when they were like, oh, we actually have to do stuff and help, because they're not having a good time. So it was kind of like that. I don't really know. It's very strange. The UMass administration is a very weird umbrella that kind of comes down and goes back up again. It's very strange. It's hard to
Well, how do you
navigate.
feel now about, like, because you've talked about the students at the station getting really involved and stuff, but how do you feel about like WMUA's representation or reputation in the Valley now?
I feel like we're not, I feel like on campus we have like we're getting like a better reputation, not even like a better reputation, but we're getting more well known. I've come up to kids who have said that they listen to the radio a lot more than I ever have in my time here. I'm not sure about the Valley. I can imagine that some people are upset because they've lived there all their lives and they've heard
the same
the
people,
same people,
like,
yeah, the same people a lot, which can be like frustrating, and I completely agree when things that I like are like move or are gone, I get upset about it, but I just hope that they know that like we're just trying to like make the station better, and maybe they'll find other music that they like, but
or other sources.
yeah,
to,
or
like,
other
listen to
sources,
music.
yeah. And I think that they're just feeling a little frustrated with us now, but I hope that will change, and I think that over time like our like rep will improve again with the community. But yeah, I've seen like people that are from the Amherst like area come to our Valentine's Day concert.
That's
like
really cool.
Yeah, I saw like women that were in their 30s or 40s with like other groups of people like just coming in, and I was like, that's great. Like I didn't even know that anybody would come to this that weren't like students. But
exactly,
yeah, so like people are still interested, which is nice, and I think that it'll only get better as time goes on, and we put all of this behind us.
So you mentioned like the Valentine's Day concert. What do we as students at the university and as a community have to look forward to from the station in the coming year and like throughout this transition?
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, so our next concert is our alternative spring concert. I don't have the exact date on when that's going to be. I know it's going to be in April, but I know that Porches is one of the acts that we've confirmed, which is great because they're great. They're
That's
really
super
cool.
exciting. Yeah,
I'm excited about it. We have a lot more content coming up on our YouTube page. We have a girl pool set. We have a set with like Florist and Eskimo and Toad Slant, I think, from the Valentine's Day concert. So that's going to be really cool. Our music director is getting those edited and mixed, and they'll be up within the coming weeks. And we also are really trying to partner this year, especially with student organizations. Like at the Valentine's Day concert, we had Sweets and More cater. They very nicely gave us the food for free, which was like very nice of them.
That's very cool. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like we're just trying to really like build like strong relationships with other student orgs so that they feel supported as well, because it's hard to be a student business on the UMass campus.
Yeah.
Because it's just hard to get your foot in the door sometimes when you have like all these other.
The network seems like it's going to be a really strong thing for everyone.
Yeah. So we're all just like really excited and happy to like start this whole new chapter of WMUA's life.
That sounds fantastic. Well, that's all the time we have for today. In this week's episode of The Hub, we talked about what it's like to be behind the scenes of UMass's radio station during this important transitional period. I'd like to thank WMUA News Operations Director Sarah McCullough for being here today.
Thank you. It was great.
And if you want more information on WMUA, go to WMUA.org for events on how to get involved, and tune in to 91.1 WMUA and at 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday for news with Sarah McCullough.